When I built my fourfold symmetry for Copperplate script, I had to also include flourishing in that fourfold symmetry. So that led me to looking at the structure of the line, which makes up most of flourishing, with a little bit more intent. Now, my idea was always to produce a geometric construct for the flourishing to fit into the fourfold symmetry, really starting with the angular confinement pattern. So, just going to run over this very quickly. So in my Copperplate script, I take these three straight lines and I just chamfer a sixth and a sixth, and this gives me a line of universal beauty. Now, once I recognized that this angular confinement pattern, so let's really give you part of that pattern there, houses all of the shapes, I started to think, how will this work in relation to flourishing? So this is the line of universal beauty, and I decided to look at it on its side. Now, that's not actually the shape. The shape is this. So this is the line of universal beauty loop. And the great thing about this shape is it produces 55, 55, and you can see it coming back out here. And it really starts to sit within this confinement pattern really beautifully. Now, you might say that you don't really use this shape, but you do use this shape. And that is a really important aspect of the line of universal beauty loop. Now, this interlacing figure of S shape is actually quite lateral, but there is another way to understand its underlying geometry, and that is by taking a series of verticals, diagonals, verticals, diagonals, verticals, diagonals, verticals, diagonals, verticals, sorry I missed that, and diagonals. So this really starts to show you how the shape interlocks with itself. So now I would come back and put this through here so that you really get to see the shape a little bit more purely, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 diamond patterns. So the fourfold symmetry really helps to encompass this shape. Now, one of the things that I always teach on when I am teaching any of my scripts is the fact that our breath is so important. So we inhale on the upstroke and we exhale on the downstroke. So this means that part of the stroke is a trace in the air and a mark on the page. And it's this combination of traces and marks that come together to teach us how to flourish. So I'm using muscular movement, and I'm going to now I'm going to start augmenting this flourish. And so you see that I'm using this movement, this continuous movement, which again is one of the facets of my fourfold symmetry. But by continuing the movement, it takes me through this trace pattern and it allows me to put the mark where I really want to put that mark. So there you can see that flourish. Now, this pattern works with lots of things. So for instance, we can have some fractal. And we can even take that fractal pattern. So I'm going to make it quite angular here. And I'm going to turn it into the basis for a Cadell G. Now, I am going to stop there because if I don't stop there, I will end up tearing off a new page and filling that page up. So this is some of the things that I will cover in this course, this 2-day course. I cannot tell you how much information there is, and more importantly, the information is very systematic. I'm not just sort of putting lines together. I will tell you why these lines work the way they work. Actually, I'll show you one other thing that really helped me in my understanding of the flourishing, and that is taking a bifurcation pattern. So that simply means, dividing of the line. So we have a line and we split it off like so. This is technically a fractal pattern, which is where we're taking the same pattern and we're just going smaller. Now, if we add a curve to it, and we add another curve, and another curve, and another curve, and another curve, you really start to see how those patterns start to really come together. Another simple line pattern is we start off with a wide angle, and we get increasingly smaller. And that gives us so by understanding, and you can see how the angle is decreasing proportionately, and it gives us this really lovely understanding of how to balance these kinds of shapes. Now, there are masses of these mathematical models which give us a sense of what the geometry looks like, and it's from this sense of geometry that we can start to understand how to take this geometric construct and then start adding things like curved lines, lines of universal beauty, lines in, if we're working with Copperplate at 55 degrees, or if we're working with Spencerian at 52 degrees. This underlying geometry also helps to support the flourishing in things like cancelleresca and italic. And how to then take that and apply it to scripts that generally don't have flourishes applied to their letter forms. So I look forward to seeing you on the course. I look forward to seeing your homework. There is a lot to get through. It's going to be really interesting. I would love you to bring some of the flourishes that you do and you're struggling with, so that we can apply some of these geometric patterns to them, so that you can see how this underlying geometry helps you to see where your problems are and how to fix them.